I'm telling you, I've seen really large people, right?
Yeah.
Who are healthier than a lot of skinny people.
Well, let's talk the cheat codes.
Okay.
The big O, Ozempic that everybody's tapping into.
Lord. If you stop taking the drug, now what? There's so many repercussions. So I personally feel like it's not a sustaining, solution to the problem. And it also results in your muscle mass going down.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why you'll see people when they're on
They got the Ozempic face.
Yeah.
They don't look healthy. Once again, in a safe space, in a brave place, so we can have conversations that allow us to heal. I always say we can feel together, reveal together, so we can heal together. And it's not about canceling, it's about counseling. And today I'm being counseled by someone who is truly a mogul, not only just in media, but obviously in the space of being a doctor. And a real doctor, not just throwing the title in front of it, but she's also the CEO and creator of her line, Refuel. She's a pharmacist, a content creator, entrepreneur, fitness coach, and podcast host, and a social media expert. She has a BS in biology and a doctorate in pharmacy. Online, they know her as Dr. Robin B, but today, y'all give it up for Dr. Robin Barrett.
Yes, thank you, Nick. That was amazing.
I tried.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I'm truly a fan, and obviously, I have so many questions, and I think, we'll just start at the beginning for, if you put it in layman's terms for us. When it says you have a BS in biology and doctorate in pharmacy, what does that mean? BS to me mean bullshit.
I knew you were going there.
I could BS my way through a whole lot of stuff. No, but what is it? Explain that for us, and then the idea of biology, and then what it actually means to have a doctorate in, pharmacy.
Yeah. So, what's interesting? When people see the Dr. Robin B, because of my content, they think it's like a DPT. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's about fitness. But it's interesting because it's in pharmacy. So my journey started, like my whole school journey was 10 years.
Wow.
And in college, I knew I wanted to be in the medical field. And I had like a pre-med track on that BS. That BS, I had a pre-med track. But basically, it's just a Bachelor of Science. Right. So in college, I went to Syracuse University. Shout out Orangeman. So we, it was really about me exploring all the different fields that I wanted to go in. But I really found with shadowing, once I graduated, I could find the specific field that I wanted to go in. And I walked into a pharmacy one day and I applied. I worked it was a CVS.
Right, okay.
And then I applied. This was after college. And when I worked in the pharmacy, I moved from the register in the front to the pharmacy. I'm like, this is where I get patient interaction. I'm still clinical.
Right.
I have better hours than, having the pager on your, on your phone, like when you need to go to the hospital. So I was like, you know what? Let me pursue pharmacy. So I went back into school for 4 more years to get that doctorate.
Nice. So, I mean, I know a lot of street pharmacists.
I'm legal drug dealer, okay?
But I can't say I know too many, Black pharmacists, specifically Black women that are pharmacists. So you have to be, it can't be that many in your field. But again, specifically to our community, I mean, I'm sure we have lots of questions, especially because we hear terms like big pharma. Right. And like we look at, people who are prescribing us medicine a lot of time is, not necessarily our ally, but also there's a business of medicine and diagnosis, specifically in our community, that we've had to combat for, some time now. So in the space of pharmacy, is there any philanthropic efforts or even education and awareness to kind of make it? Because I said, it's not every day we get to meet, a Black woman pharmacist.
No, of course. And I think you're correct in saying that there's a lot of disconnect between that big pharma ideology and what's really going on. And I feel like in our communities especially, it's important to have that edutainment. Like you're very familiar with edutaining, like entertaining people, it catches their eye, and then you give them the facts, right? So I think that that's what my brand has been. It's like, at first, it was like, if it was TikTok dances, I don't care what it is. If it makes you read the screen, I wanted to educate our community. Because like you said, we're very resistant to that type of thing. And it's not just us, it's generations past. Natural medicine is like more what we trust
Yeah,
in
let's say,
God, then
what Big Mama was giving us.
Of course,
Yeah.
and those things do work.
Yeah.
But it comes a time where, health isn't binary. It's not just healthy and sick.
Yeah.
There's that whole spectrum in between. And so that's why my platform is to say, hey, if you're at the preventative stage, if you're managing disease, or if you want to prevent disease, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome because, you touched on it, Ed, but, our community specifically doesn't necessarily like to take medicine. Specifically, Black men. We don't like to go to the hospital. We don't like to take medicine, because we don't need that stuff. Or if we do, we gonna trust something that our mothers or grandmothers gave us.
Yes.
And it's again, we have some trauma and trust issues over the years as an overall community where hospitals and doctors scare us. We don't like to really say it, but we don't want to get no bad news. You know what I mean? We never want to go get our checkups. And then when we are prescribed stuff, it's we'll start taking it, but it's hard to keep that regimen going. And somebody, again, I was diagnosed with lupus in 2012, so it's been an interesting health journey for myself. But the regimen, the discipline in taking care of oneself and health and wellness is something that I feel like you express a lot. And it's not necessarily what the medicine necessarily is, but it's also the discipline behind it of taking care of yourself. And you encourage a lot of people to, whether it's you trust in your doctor or just, trying to stay as healthy, like you said, preventative and being as physically fit. Touch on just the idea of or your encouragement, to the community to just be disciplined when it comes to your health and wellness.
I think discipline in general, right? I think there's freedom in discipline, right? And I think a lot of us think it's just kind of restricting. But honestly, when you free up your time by giving yourself priority, I think that makes everything else you got to do even better, right? Like we all know, if we work out in the morning, that one day out of the week, we do feel better. You know what I mean? We may feel more tired, we may lose energy throughout the day, but we do feel better. So I think if we kind of we set the definition of success, in our lives, what we think is our top, how we feel, and then we just try to be 1% better each day. So I think that in our communities, in order to change that thought process, we just have to change our habits. So it's not about micromanaging weight loss, for instance, or micromanaging your medications. It's what are my habits to get me there so that doing these things aren't as hard?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to jump into it. Let's talk the cheat codes.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff going on right now. You're probably truly the expert to talk to about it because there's a lot of new supplements or medicines on the market that everybody's taking these shortcuts. But, as a fitness expert as well, I would love to get your take on whether it's the big O, Ozempic that everybody's tapping into.
Lord.
And even on the other end of the spectrum, specifically when it comes to men, it's everything from creatine to all the way to, steroids and HGI, the human growth hormones and all of that stuff. So how do you feel about all of these shortcuts and things that are currently going on?
So I feel like it's important that we talk about it from a medical standpoint because I feel like it is these social influencers pushing that narrative that is the way. And we have a lot of social comparison and social media happening that influences the way we think, right? So it could be the big O or it could be BBLs and things of that nature, right? Because I think, weight loss for us, because we don't want to go the traditional route of working out, this is the shortcut, right? But how I truly feel is that it is designated. It is for the people who do have, as far as Wegovy, which is the semaglutide, the higher dose of Ozempic, it is for weight loss. But it is for people who also have a comorbidity with their weight loss. So, for example, they have hypertension, they have diabetes, right? So they're obese. Right. So we're taking it and we're normal, healthy individuals that just want to lose some weight. And I feel like the result that we're looking for isn't the result that we want either. Because in addition, I'll go into how the drug works.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you explain how even it works? Because I just, people say they own it and 3 weeks later they skinny.
They skinny all over, right? So the way it works is it's basically a GLP-1 agonist. So for type 2 diabetics, what it does is increase insulin. We all know we need insulin. And that insulin pulls that sugar out of the blood, right? And we want lower blood sugar. So that's the result of taking the drug, which ultimately results in weight loss. But there's also a decreased gastric emptying. So you feel full longer, right? Because literally it's still in your gut.
Got it.
You know, but that's changing.
So it's more of a suppressor than it is?
Yes. It's kind of like it's changing the way your gut entirely thinks, right? And so then you have less appetite, right? Because you just feel full. But you can imagine some people may feel full and still overeat. If you stop taking the drug, now what? There's so many repercussions. So I personally feel like it's not a sustaining, solution to the problem. And it also results in your muscle mass going down.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why you'll see people when they're on
Ozempic. Got the Ozempic face.
And they're just skinny overall versus like someone who has more muscle mass and less body fat.
Because it looked like, and again, shouts out to anybody who's doing it. I mean, no judgment, but like I see, like it seems like they don't look healthy. You know what I mean? And so are there like real side effects and what would be the dangers in someone, taking it? Because even now, like they're not even getting it from doctors. They're getting it from, from them street pharmacists I know. So like what are the dangers and side effects of something like this?
So it's, it's like I said, if you stop taking it, sometimes you gain that weight back.
Oh, really?
Right. And also I think that the increased like pancreatitis that you could have just by taking this drug and how it works, because it's working on the pancreas to produce that insulin. Right? So you can have an infection of the pancreas. Also, if you don't have diabetes, if you have normal blood sugar and you're taking something that lowers that blood sugar, you can get hypoglycemia, which is bad, right? Because diabetics, like if they take too much insulin, they suffer from that. And you gotta, you could tell when somebody's hypoglycemic, give them an apple, like you have to get them, you know what I mean, back. Absolutely. And it's like, imagine being healthy and that's happening to you. And it's all because you want to lose weight. But
it seems like you said to your point, like the people who are, super obese and they take it like, you weigh the risk and you're like, well, you're probably better off by taking this drug that at least gets you to a space where you're not going to have to suffer from, heart disease or anything else that obesity comes with. So I think overall, would you say it's not a horrible thing to be on the market? Like,
I don't think it's horrible.
Long as you don't abuse it.
As long as you're taking it as indicated. If you're indicated for the drug, you go to a medical professional. Not your street pharmacist, and you're like, hey, this is what I'm really dealing with. It's hard. I tried diet and exercise. It's like a last line. Right? So if you've tried everything, you've, had your calorie deficit and you're working out, and it's still not working, that's something that you would do.
So why do you think people who are taking it are like, I don't want to say they're ashamed, but they're not they're not owning up to it. They're you hear all of these celebrities, they're like, oh man, you look great, you on Ozempic, like, nah, I'm just on this new alkaline, or like just tell everybody, tell us that's what it is.
We can see it in your face. No, I'm just playing. No, I think it's our culture, right? Again, like you said before, it's like we don't want to admit when we're going through things or when we're trialing things, right? But we do want to come out looking like we have it all together. And that goes with mental health. That goes with, this physical health. And, it's the same thing as no one's going to admit to surgery. A lot of people struggle with that. So it's like, I don't know like how we can reverse that and fix that. I think it's really about what we see in the media and like our conversations. But that's why it happens.
I would love to dig deeper into that too, because you bring up a great point, whether it's surgery, whether it's, the BBLs, and even when it comes to men, there's a lot of men out there that are,
abs, fake abs.
Getting all type of stuff done. But it's almost like this idea, and it's probably, we kind of blame it on social media, is that we're putting up this facade But it's probably, I mean, if you can't own up to it, I mean, what is that really doing for one's psyche of where it's like, yeah, I went and got the surgery. Yeah, I took the medicine. Right. But when someone asks me about it, I come up with this story that no one believes. But it's like, it's almost for your own psychosis of like, you don't want people to know that. I mean, it feels like sits in a space of insecurity.
It does.
But you emphasize when it comes to health and wellness about feeling good about yourself, regardless of what the exterior really looks like. Like that's the first step in the journey of health and wellness. Can you touch on that a little bit? Because I think people need to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, again, we're not knocking anybody who, is having some assistance, whether it's surgery or medicine, but it's like, it all goes back to like loving oneself.
Exactly. And I think body positivity is a huge part of it. I think it's very interesting because, Black women are 56% more obese than white women. Mm-hmm. And,
56%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's just like one of the statistics.
Why?
Obviously. Because I think it's our culture, what we
like
idolize.
The food, the things we eat.
Well, think about, we want curvier figures.
Facts.
The Latin and Black cultures, that's what we preach in our music. That's what we preach. Our celebrities look like this.
Right.
And we kind of just say, okay, that's what we want.
Right.
You can push that barrier a little too hard. You know what I mean? You could get a little
56%
too curvy.
That's a huge percentage. I didn't know that.
So that's where, women start to kind of just push that envelope a little too hard, and therefore it becomes obese.
Right.
And now you need help, and now you need a quick fix, but you still want to maintain that curvy figure. So, there's no judgment at all. Everyone can have their own choice.
It has to be probably rooted in diet too, though, because if I'm thinking of like everybody got a big mama, you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like, as they get older, we embrace that, and it's not... I don't know. Like it has to, whether it's the things that we've eaten, whether it's the culture, whether we're just genetically prone to, or be bigger people, or
we're actually genetically prone to have more muscle mass to body fat.
Really?
Yeah, but the thing is, our social factors, our environmental factors. Right. There's access.
Right.
To the gyms, right? Which is why I teach all you need is 2 dumbbells at home. There should be no excuse, but we make a lot of excuses.
Right.
And that's why you'll see athletes, they actually, that's our way out of advancement, to get out of the hood by, working to become football players, and they or any sports, and they're actually, you could tell, more athletic than a lot of their counterparts, or equally athletic.
Right.
And it's because we are genetically predisposed to have those advantages. However, with the social factors, the junk food, like you said, like Big Mama cooking, like all those things.
Greens and yams and
man.
banana
and I grew
pudding.
Up in the South, so, and that's it. It's something, a light bulb has to go off, right? And you just have to prioritize movement as medicine. Like literally, movement is medicine. And I think that it starts, the earlier you start, just like with anything else, the more prolonging it has that effect on you, right? And sometimes, I'm telling you, I've seen really large people, right, who are healthier than a lot of skinny people.
Really?
Yeah, because so let's imagine there's this, have you ever done an in-body scan?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're kind of looking at those stats, when you're looking at like your weight, you want that to be obviously in the average. You don't want to be, higher than average.
Right.
But when you look at your skeletal muscle mass, if that is super increased, if that's large, you have a lot of muscle mass, and then your body fat's lower and it creates that D shape.
Yeah.
When you see that on the chart, you're like, that's where I need to be. And some people who seemingly look...
It's just bigger people, they
got a lot of muscle mass. And that's healthy because the metabolic rate increases.
Right.
So that's the calories burned at rest. So if I have a lot of muscle, I could be sitting on the couch and my calories are burning faster than the person who doesn't have muscle.
So again, going back to that, and I even go to my own journey. Like I feel like I've always had the ectomorph process where like always had a high metabolism.
Yeah.
But it was, and had good muscle mass, but never really been able to build without a supplement, without creatine or something like that that makes you feel like you know, whether I'm working out 6 days a week, it's just like muscle mass. I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't have those genetics.
Yes.
And then I would imagine even people who struggle with weight loss in that sense too. It's like some people just don't have muscle. Like, how does one build muscle in a healthy manner, Doc?
So that's in the kitchen. So now we get to
sure? I've tried. I'm telling you, I've tried.
Okay. Have you been in like a protein? You hit your macros.
All. Like I've gotten to a place where I've got an unhealthy amount of protein because I know the thing. If I'm getting like 1.5 grams per the weight that I'm looking to get to, and then so there's times where I'm literally consuming 250 grams of protein a day.
Right.
And obviously that's not good
high.
on my gut.
That's very high. Yeah,
but 2 or 3 steaks, 2-3 servings of salmon, a protein shake in the morning, a protein
shake. And you saw
no
difference.
Bloated. I got bloated. I didn't get any more muscle. Like I got a lot of food. I gained weight, but it wasn't muscle. And like I said, I'm one of the more fortunate individuals who have access to but even have access to great trainers, information. Yes. But recently, one of my consultants or one of the people who kind of been guiding me was like, look, you just got to accept that this is your body shape. Like you'll get to be the best that you can be.
Right.
But because I don't want to go the route of, steroids or HGH or anything like that. It's like, I'm at an age where it's like, look, you just got to say, all right, you got to be happy at 175 with your cut. And, you're not going to be out here looking like Michael Jai White or none of those guys, because that's just not your build. And unless you want to do something unhealthy or, something where you need an assistance from somebody else. And I was just like, I know based off all my other health concerns, I'm not really looking to kind of jump into those spaces just because it's not really worth it. Because at the end of the day, it's vanity because health doesn't have a look, as you say.
And that's what I'm saying. It goes back to that body positivity, the fact that someone large could still be very healthy. I'm sure your body scan shows a significant amount of skeletal muscle mass. Yeah. You can't be doing all that.
I just say, you don't,
like
when I'm trying to do these action movies, I'm trying
to. No, I know. But it's like I said, you still are a healthy individual.
Right.
Just because of how it looks. And you know what? I always say, we all can eat the same meal, the same time of day, but we will all look different. And that's just our build. Like, I know I have longer legs and a shorter torso. Even if I have abs, the abs look different than somebody else. You know what I mean? Right. So I think it's just us, again, like you said, accepting, that goes into mental health, accepting our body and our image and not having that dysmorphia when we look in the mirror.
Right. And is it something, it has to be something to, I've even gotten in trouble for speaking on this, but it has to be factual when it comes to science. But there's something about Black people's build, and specifically Black people whether from the Caribbean or directly from the continent. It seems like they just have a lot more dense muscle mass, and even like the darker complected they are. It's like, I got a little brother that, we used to call him Man because when he was born, he was just diesel. Like he ain't lived one way. But it was just like, or even like we see people from the South, they just seem to have like more, like have more muscle mass than just the average person. And I always say where it feels like Black people are more athletic, but like I said, I've gotten in trouble for saying that because people say that's not necessarily true.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many factors. Like I said, the muscle mass, that could be true, but it's also all these other factors that make it tough. Right. But with determination, that's why we can't take it away from our GOATs, our athletes that really kill it in sports. It's like, that takes hard work.
And a lot of money. LeBron said he spent $1 million a year on his body.
And probably more now since that. But I think it's really, really important that we do invest in ourselves, because obviously we can't pour out of an empty cup. Yeah. But
that's why, again, I think that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why, even, as we wrap this first session up, I still want to talk about, like you said, if it's in the kitchen, I definitely want to jump into the things that, whether you're trying to build muscle mass or whether you're just trying to be healthy, diet or way of life is very important. But before we jump into that, because that'll be definitely in our next session, I want to stay in this space too about maybe just like some final thoughts on one who's looking to get in shape, and they're trying to weigh the options between trying something like Ozempic or whatever new supplement or medicine is on the market to get them to where they want to get to, or the importance of just put the work in the gym.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think that everyone has to find their why and be deep rooted in that why. It could be just maybe you got bullied, or maybe it could be to be better for your children, or maybe, you saw a loved one pass and you want to prevent having an early death. I think, no worries. Finding that why, I feel like that's the reason why you're going to keep going. Yeah. Because it's going to push you when motivation isn't there. It's going to push you before you start seeing those results. And then once you start seeing those results, that's going to be the motivator too.
How long does results usually take though? I think that's the thing. Even with me, it's like if I'm 3 weeks in and I can't see nothing, I gotta switch. I gotta switch
Come
up.
on now. No, I think that definitely finding the right coach and the right diet plan right away, because it's harder to fix bad habits, than it is to kind of just start fresh and have that expertise right away. But I could anywhere between a month to 3. I feel like with the right plan, you'll be able to see something, feel something 100%.
And then your content, a lot of times, because, as you know, our community, we don't always have access to gyms. We don't always have it gets expensive. Trying to even switch up your lifestyle can be a little stressful. You try to put together a plan that, where you don't need all of that stuff and where it's really changing those habits. So what would you say are some of the quick habits that we got to get rid of, or that, some new ideologies that we can pick up if we're really looking to shift our life? What are the first steps? Because they always say set small goals. So what are those first steps in one trying to get their life together? And
it's true. Like, you definitely have to just take it one step at a time, because you can see when you implement those things if it changes.
Right.
You don't want to start with a whole host of things and then you don't know what worked, right? So I think the first thing would be, getting your schedule, like getting that habit list going, like what do you want to implement? And then just devoting 30 minutes to the practice of physical activity. That's all. Like, even by medical standards, 30 minutes 5 times a week is what's recommended.
30 minutes a day, 5 times a week.
Yes.
And what are you doing in those? Is like that 30 minutes of cardio? Does 30 minutes of like stretching count? Does 30 minutes of like what should we be like? Is there a calorie burner counter or something? Like, how do I know that in that 30 minutes I did what I was supposed to do?
Yeah, so an Apple Watch would be helpful.
Okay.
But I do think, like, just from my experience, like, if you're really starting from scratch, I do think doing incline walking for 30 minutes a day, because your muscles have to get used to that lactic acid, the feeling of that pain when you're working out.
So walking, hiking.
Yes.
Like,
right.
Is treadmill, does that count?
Yeah, that's what I'm personally talking about. Like,
okay.
I
so
don't
put the
mind
treadmill on an incline.
On 10%. Put that thing on 10% and walk at like a 3 to 5 speed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way that you can, you can be productive on there. You can go through your emails. Like, we have to do things that doesn't make us feel like we're sacrificing our lives. So I feel like if we just implement that small change and then supplement with protein right after.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I hear about, like, when you say right after, is that really a determining factor that, like, how quick should you consume your protein shake or your meal after working out? And why does it matter so much? Because I was like, I'll eat later as long as I get it in. But you say definitely immediately after your workout.
Yeah, 30 minutes, 30 to an hour.
What happens in that process?
It's increased protein absorption. So it's actually just getting absorbed easier. I mean, you can have more protein, right? It's not make or break.
Right.
You just need to hit that macro count at the end of the day.
Right.
But I think that I would want to maximize the protein that I absorb right after the gym.
Okay.
Yeah. So having that handy, or, they have a lot of brands out here that have that pre-made vegan.
And you feel those work?
I mean, they have the yield of like 20 to 30 grams.
People say, I mean, at least I've been told, like, because I was heavy on like the protein shakes, super heavy. And like, yo, it's better. You know, doctors have told me just eat the salmon, just eat the steak. That's going to be better than trying to just chug protein shakes all day.
But that's easy for you if you eat meat and you're a meat eater.
Right.
For people who kind of have to rely on vegan protein, I think some is better than none.
Are you a meat eater?
I am.
Okay. So
I am.
I mean, have you explored a plant-based diet ever?
Oh, yeah.
So why continue to eat meat from a doctor's perspective?
I think it's a different build, just like we discussed the Ozempic conversation. I think it's a different build when you are vegan fit. It looks great.
Right.
It's like very lean. It's very similar, but like in my eyes, I feel like it's missing kind of like what I want to see is more like elasticity, like more the benefits of lipids. You know what I mean? Your skin is more moisture. And that has nothing to do with, I think, a vegan diet. But I just noticed that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit like nutrient deficient.
That's what I felt. I felt like I needed more iron, and I was struggling to get iron from so many areas. And even doctors told me, it was like, look, I know you want to do this plant-based thing, but based off of, you know, your lupus and other things, meat is actually going to be helpful for you. So, and I think it has something to do with like blood types and stuff as well. Yeah. You know, some people have a certain blood type that can, you know, they can handle a vegan diet and some don't. Yeah. So, I mean, shouts out to everybody who is trying to, you know, stay healthy. And this has definitely been our first session with Dr. Robin B. But we have so much more to discuss. Like I said, in the next session, we're actually going to talk about, you know, getting in the kitchen and the things that, you know, you put into your body to actually use as fuel. And then, you know, we're just going to talk about your fabulous lifestyle as well. I mean, like what you created from being a fitness expert, but then also just like somebody who is just inspiring so many just based off of, you know, the work that you do and being a life coach and all of that type of stuff. So I appreciate your time and like, subscribe, comment, and we're going to see you again. It's been a pleasure.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Counsel Culture.